It's the question that will rattle around in Kendall Roy's brain for the rest of his life. That's where Logan Roy lives now, after all, in the minds of the people who spent their lives dependent on him. On his money, his power, and, most of all, on his toxic, irresistible approval, which never came without a healthy dose of mind games attached. And while the old bastard is well and truly dead, having suffered a pulmonary embolism, we're told, in one of several riotously funny scenes that lurk around the edges of the grief-strewn wreckage of Honeymoon States, while trying to fish a dropped cell phone out of an airplane toilet. Clogged with Carl's abundant bullshit, the pencil marks he left on the world are still doing their evil work. Somebody Somewhere recap. Sam's haunting portrait of heartbreak. We start with a brief check-in with each of the Roy kids. Kendall's busted, Roman's coping, and Shiv is, well, we'll get to what Shiv is in a minute, but after that. Tonight's succession confines itself entirely to the wake of Logan Roy, situated in the New York apartment from which he committed so many acts of corporate skullduggery and emotional terror. And while the place will soon be Connor's, and bigger, somehow, if Willa gets her way, tonight it serves as the setting for one last Logan-style brawl. As everyone tries to suss out or just assert the wishes of a man whose most notable talent was a total willingness to say anything to anyone, as long as it got him what he wanted. Who better to preside over the proceedings, than Marcia, the one person who best understood and shared Logan's transactional view of human nature. As always, the welcome return of Hayam Abbas to the show brings with it the perfect smiling coldness of a character who knows she has the ultimate trump card here. Her name in ink, when almost everyone else has been sketched in with promises and pencil. Marcia doesn't get any moments tonight quite as brutal as her takedown of Rhea back in Season 2, but she's still perfectly comfortable exercising her power as the resurgent widow Roy. Calmly lying about her and Logan's regular intimate conversations, and cruelly kicking a still hysterical Carrie out of her boss lover's funeral. It's a gut-wrenching scene, in an episode where almost everyone plays downward. Zoe Winters goes up as she falls apart, keening almost inaudibly as all of Logan's sweet words of marriage and a future together turn to dust in front of her. The wake is, of course, mostly stage dressing, as all the usual suspects spend their time conspiring in various kitchens and upstairs rooms trying to figure out this succession shit at last. Hey, that's the name of the show. All the typical maneuverings get brutally skewed, though, when Frank, as one of the executors of Logan's estate, is handed a piece of paper that asserts that at some point in the last 4 years, Logan really was ready to name Kendall as his heir. The timing of the document is ambiguous, it carries no legal weight. Many of its addendums are unclear, bordering on illegible. It mentions Greg, for some Logan only knows reason. But none of that matters. As soon as one of the Roy kids gets genuine proof that Daddy really did love him most, it drives what is almost certainly a fatal stake straight into the heart of the already limping Kids Alliance.